Hi everyone, it's Bethany. Welcome back. In this video, I have two new sentiment dies from Spellbinders that they sent over to me to create with. I think I'm going to do the Hello die today. I think that will be really cute. What I love about these is that they have the shadow layer as well. And I love these because you can get creative in so many ways. So we're going to have fun with the Hello today, but I'll link the Smile down below as well. They're both the same style, so you have a pick of the sentiment that you'd like. All right, so I want to have some fun with some paper strips today. So the first thing that I'm going to do is get a little measurement. Just use my mat. It looks like I need about 1 inch. So I have pulled some cardstock, and I'll link the cardstock that I like to use down below. But I have some fun colors here that I am going to use, and I'm just going to cut these into strips. Now, let's see how long these are. Okay, so I know I need them to be a width of 4 1/4 and a height of 1 inch. So let's go ahead and get started on that. I'm going to be putting them on an A2 card base. So an A2 card base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And in fact, why don't we start with that just to give you a visual? That way you don't get confused. So let's start with the card base. So here is my card base. And this is actually 110-pound cardstock, which I just like a tad bit better for the card base portion. And I have my score buddy here. So this is sized at 11 by 4 1/4. So half of 11 is 5 1/2, and that's where I'm going to place that score line. And then I have a top folding A2 card. Now an A2 size card is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So like I was saying earlier, now that you have a visual of what our card base is, I'm going to do all of my gluing right on my card base today. So I know, because this is 4 1/4, I know my strips need to be a length of 4 1/4. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. I think kind of stepping back and doing that first may have been a tad more helpful. So now I'll bring in my trimmer. And I know this is 4 1/4 already, so all I need to do now is do 1 inch. Okay, so actually I'm gonna have to take a little bit off in order to do that. Okay, now I just need 1/4 of an inch. Okay, there we go. So there's my first little strip. Okay, and then this I need to do 4 1/4, so I know my length. And I'll just keep all of my little scraps as normal. And then let's just do a 1/4 of an inch strip. And there's our next one. And I will just continue trimming down my cardstock. Okay, there are all my paper strips all ready to go. Just need 4 because again, the height was simply 1 inch, so that'll be good. Okay, now I'm gonna grab an A2 size panel. I'm gonna move my strips right over here, and I'm going to trim this down a bit. So I think I will do 3 3/4 or even 3 1/2. Let's do 3 1/2 by, we'll do 4 3/4. Is that going to be right? Yes, okay. So now we have a small little panel, but I want this to be on the small side because what we're going to do is attach our paper strips to our card base, somewhat like so. And then I want to be able to see quite a bit of them on the side. Okay, so now what I would like to do is, I think it'd be wise to figure out where I want my sentiment first. So let's go ahead and do our hello, just like that. And I'll grab a little piece of tape, and I can also grab a T-square ruler just to make sure. I'm going to bring this over here, but I'm going to make sure that that is indeed straight. Let's see here. Okay, that is close enough. Okay. I think it's pretty darn straight. Oh, okay, hold on. There we go. Okay, so there's that. All right, I'm gonna run this through my die cut machine. So Let's actually just move all of this for just a moment. Okay, I have everything ready to go here. Now, because I'm going to be using this actual physical piece of cardstock as my card panel, I want to protect it. So I'm going to go ahead and just use a blank piece of cardstock, because what I'm trying to prevent is any of the cut marks from my cutting plates getting embossed, if you will, onto my card panel. Because if you have scratch lines on your cutting plates, then they can transfer over to your paper. And usually it doesn't matter because you're just trimming out things, but if you are running through an actual card panel, you want to make sure that that's nice and protected. Okay, so then we have that piece that we can take off, and then we have this piece. Now again, I'm using this physical piece as my card, so I want to be gentle when I am removing that tape. Okay. All right, that looks really good. Okay, now I can just discard this piece or keep it for another project. And while I have my die cut machine out, I'm gonna use 110-pound cardstock. Let me trim this down a bit. I wanna cut out that hello probably 4 times. Let's do that. We're going to really bump this up by gluing all of these pieces on top of one another. Okay, so I will just trim this out, and we're going to just keep repeating that step, okay? Okay, so there's my little hello. I like to use this little spatula tool to get these pieces up. Be careful because they kind of want to bend there. It's pretty delicate. So there's that one. Okay, and then I'm just going to collect these on my craft mat as I get them all cut out. So I simply am going to move my die to the next section of paper, and again, I'll do this 4 times. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I have all my little alphabet pieces here. I'm going to turn this over. I'm going to tape this down to my mat. Actually, let's do that. Okay. And I'm going to start gluing these down. So what I want to do actually is I'm going to add the glue right to this side. Okay. I'm going to place my strip and I'm going to center it, because again, this is going to need to center on my cardstock in a bit. So again, let me bring that over just a little bit. Okay, and I'm using the lines of my mat to really get those straight. Okay, and then I'll go on to my next one. So I'll add my glue there, add my strip and get that nice and lined up, just like so. Okay, and then actually I can make those go up just a little bit. Okay, there we go. And continue. We'll do, and we're just going to get a peek of that yellow, but we'll see it on the side. Okay, so you really could, oops, let me get that straightened out. There we go. You really could move that top piece up a little bit so you can get more yellow. Up to you. Okay, I'll just add a little bit more here, just like this. All right, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is let that just set for just a second. Okay, we can remove this. And now I'm going to put glue all over the back here, and we are going to attach this right to the card base. And you can use any adhesive that you'd like. I am not going to use any type of foam adhesive just because I don't want dimension for this part of my card. Okay, so here we go. Now we can turn this around, get this all centered where we'd like that. That looks about right. There we go. All right, glue that down just like so. Okay. Now let's grab a little stamp block, and this is just going to help really get that placed down. Okay. Okay, now while that is setting, in fact, I'll grab one more. We'll do that. Okay, while that is setting, I am going to grab my little picker-upper tool here, this little wand, and I'm going to start getting all of these glued together. So let's go ahead. Actually, do I want to do my wand, or maybe my tweezers actually might be a tad better here. Okay, so let's put this away for just a second. Let's grab all my little H's, and I'm just going to get these all glued together. And this is going to add my element of dimension. So I'm just going to go through. This can be a tad meticulous, yes, but it's so worth it when you see how it turns out. Okay, so I'm going to glue that. Maybe I don't even need any tweezers or anything. Actually, if you want to do tweezers, you can grab your little letter, which actually is a pretty smart move. It can just really help with centering. Okay, and the best thing about that liquid glue is it gives you some time to make some adjustments and kind of shift things into position. Okay, so I'm just going to continue layering up my little sentiment here. Again, that's 4 layers of 110-pound cardstock. So once I finish this last layer, oops, there we go, I can just show you how thick that is. Isn't that nice? Okay, so we have a really good element of dimension there. Really pretty. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish up this part, and then I think I might actually do a sub-sentiment as well. All right, there are my layered die cuts. Now I want to do, and I probably should have done this on my card panel before gluing it all down, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my card base, well, the whole thing really, into my MISTI really quick because I want to add a sub-sentiment. And I have a die set that I love for sub-sentiments and sentiments really in general. This is, let me see if I can get some contrast. This is a beautiful stamp set, and I think it would be fun to do something like Hello Gorgeous. Yeah, you know what, I'm not gonna even overthink it. And the reason I'm kind of nervous though is because I don't really have an even playing field to stamp this on because I have some cardstock underneath there, but I think it'll be okay. Just have to be careful here. Okay, fingers crossed. I'm gonna tuck that up on the right side. Okay, I think that looks good. Clean that down, and I'm gonna reposition my card just a little bit there and condition my stamp real quick because I think this particular stamp hasn't been used quite yet. So we're just gonna stamp out Gorgeous as our little sub-sentiment. Oh, good, it worked. Okay, I would recommend, just in case, before gluing this inner panel onto your card, just do your stamping first. Okay, Hello Gorgeous, looks great. Let me get this cleaned off, and I'm also going to kind of clean up my fingers a little bit because that got a little bit messy with the glue. It's me. Fingers are a little sticky there. Okay, go ahead and put this right on back, and Now we can finish up our card. Now, one thing I usually do is I do longer strips and then trim them down. That way they match up really nice, and you can see that they're a little bit off there. That's okay. What I'm gonna do is grab my paper trimmer and just trim a little hair off each side. And only because that's gonna bother me just a little bit. So I wanna make that a nice clean cut. I'm just gonna take a sliver off each side, just a tiny bit. So I'm going to put my whole card in there and trim. Okay. Oh, see how much cleaner that is? And that's usually my technique. I'm not sure why I wanted to get those paper strips just perfectly the right size. So this will be just a tad off of the A2 size, which is fine. Okay, and then all lined up. Okay, see how nice and clean that is now? Okay, there we go. So a couple things that you're gonna wanna do different than I did. I had a really long Sunday today, not in a bad way, but just busy. Busy. So I feel like I'm a little bit sleepy and kind of doing my steps a little out of order, but that's okay. It's all getting done. Okay, so now what I want to do is probably use my tweezers for this. Now remember, these are nice and thick. We have 4 layers of that 110-pound cardstock. You can use a lighter weight if you'd like. Whenever I am stacking die cuts like this, I opt for a heavier weight just because it makes it go faster, right? They're thicker. Okay, oh my goodness. I'll show you in just a minute when I lift this card up, but that dimension is so pretty. This is a very, very simple card. Very simple, which is the way I like it. But that little added dimension, I'm just gonna move this a little bit so I can get a little bit on this E here. That little added dimension with the die cuts is gonna be the showstopper here. Okay, so let's do the E, and then I'll keep adding. Definitely the tweezers are coming in handy for this. This is pretty meticulous. Okay, a couple more letters, and then finally our O. And you can really make this very seasonal too, based on what you do behind for color. We are currently in summer, and I could live in these summer colors all year round. Let me move that just a little bit. Nudge that. We're gonna let this rest under a stamp block for just a bit. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Make that a little bit straighter. Okay, love that. Let's grab that stamp block one more time while I grab the embellishments. But that's looking great. Because this is taking on such a warm tone, I think I'll bring in some gold. Yes, absolutely, that's gonna be really pretty. And what I will do is I'm just gonna do, you know, something super simple up here, just a duo, and then I'll bring 3 down here just because I have a little bit more room to play with. Now I'll bring in that wand. That'll definitely come in handy. And there's 3 sizes of discs, but I actually only have the medium and the small here, but that is just fine because I find that I use those all the time. I don't ever use the larger one. It's just a little too big for me. Okay, so I did a medium, a small, medium, small, and small. So simple, but so pretty. Now let me hold this up because you're gonna get the real awe factor with those pretty die cuts and how nice and thick they are. Okay, so let's hold this up. Do you see how pretty that is with that dimension? Oh, it's so pretty in person. Hopefully you can appreciate that on camera. Okay, as always, really quickly, I'll flip this right on over and I'm going to add my personalized stamp right to the back. Okay, make sure I do this the right way this time. Lately, I've been a little rushed and I guess I've been just not being as careful and putting it upside down. Okay, there we go. I rocked that a little too much, but that's gonna be okay. All right, so there is the final card. In real time, I am at 31 minutes and 30 seconds. Of course, I will trim that down just a little bit, for this video, but this is going to take you roughly a half hour. I love how that turned out. Again, with the colors that you choose, you can make this look completely different. I love the warm gold because of the warm tones that I chose for my color strips. I think this is so simple but striking, and I love how that just pops. All right, if you enjoyed this, give this a thumbs up. Pop down into the description box if you want a list of all of the supplies that I used, and I'll see you in the next video.